then, John. Can you run me through sort of some pointers on weed fishing?
Yeah, sure, mine. You know, weed, love it or hate it. You know, most lakes that have got big uns in are weedy these days.
Yeah.
Thing to do is not be frightened of it. You know, the fish love it. It's, you know, in the day they're sitting there, it's like a sauna, attracts the heat. You know, they're easier to find in weedy lakes. You know, they'll be sat up on the surface in the weed. You know, you can find spots. You know, unless
so you actually fish for spots in the weeds.
Yeah, unless some places obviously it's top to bottom, you know, and absolutely chocker. But most places, you know, there's going to be little holes in the weed, and the chances are there's a hole there is because the fish have been feeding there. You know, it ain't there for no particular reason. There's obviously been some sort of natural food there or something. They've dug it down. They've sifting it off all the time. If it's silt or gravel, there's a hole there for a reason. And if you can find fish that are lying up in weed beds, that's your location sorted. You can find a little hole right next to them. That's your spot sorted. It's just a case of putting the right rig on there and the right amount of bait, and you're laughing really. You know, some of the weed beds are like tunnels underneath. You know, although it looks absolutely chocker on the surface, you know, in the summer, height of summer, it's all over the surface. But there's like little tunnels and chambers and that, and the fish are in there mooching about all the time. Like,
do you use a marker float a lot of the time?
Yeah,
to try and find these spots? Like,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I certainly use a marker. I use a stiff marker rod. And actually cast. Then if you sort of more or less sort of stop it on the weed, and if you've got, I say, a stiff marker rod and braid, you can virtually sort of just
just get a whip, like,
wick it out and jerk it and feel for the drop.
Yeah.
And as soon as you keep jerking and sort of lifting the rod off the bottom, and as soon as you feel it down, you know, obviously that's the edge of your spot. You know, if you've got a wall of weed in your spot there, and then obviously you can bring back to as far, you know, you whip for your spot. And sometimes it can only be literally 1 or 2 feet. But if you can get a rig onto that, you know, you are relying on line lay some of the times because it's looping up. But the fish are coming in, they're feeling weed fronds against the side of themselves all the time, so they're not going to be too adverse to feeling line or your leg core or tubing or whatever up against them, as long as it's not bowstring tight.
Yeah, so I found that myself. Like, I found if you're fishing sort of in an hole, you're better off just fishing it really slack, because we're obviously going to be bumping into your line, aren't they?
Yeah, they're feeling stuff up against their bodies all the time, but it's better having it on the spot than, you know, fishing a big barren area. That's the thing with weedy lakes as well. Someone's like, oh, you know, they're fishing it because there's a massive spot. Well, the fish don't feed on their massive spots. You know, they want the security of the weed all around them. They can go in. I say there's food there available. It's the security of it.
I suppose with them choddies as well, like, you know, you can sort of get away with fishing in the weed a little bit as well.
Yeah,
you
if
know?
it's bottom weed and that, and it's, you know, sometimes they're not cleaning off.
It's not too severe. Like.
Yeah, you can pick them off, but you know, and again, the thing with weed is that you want your lead to come off. You know, it makes them so much easier to get in if you can lose that lead ideally on the tape.
Up in the water, don't they? When you sort of tighten up, if you tighten on your line,
got a tight clutch on the surface when you're picking the rod up, pretty much.
That's right.
And then you've done the hard work, and then the thing is to keep them on the top. Don't let them burrow back down, because if you let them burrow back down,
I think as long as you keep it sort of tight, usually you can keep them sort of reasonably above the weed.
Without that lead going down, not playing about.
Once it starts going off at an angle, that's when you sort of get weeded up.
That's when you go solid, because you're pulling against the weed and not the fish.
You're pulling against the weed,
So,
but I think like, as I say, like, as long as you can keep a straight line to the fish, I think you get it in most situations.
You can keep direct contact, like, you know, obviously you're relying a little bit on luck, but 9 times out of 10.
Well, that's sound, mate, that's sound.